Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Sword Art Online 2 episode review. This one's going to be for episode 21, Swordsman's Memorial. Before I get into the review, I'll just mention that a plan for an upcoming video is to do a kind of a Q&A video. Obviously you've seen other YouTubers do this before, and I just realised that in 3 years being on YouTube I've never actually done one of these things. And basically the idea for this video is just that it'll be a video where I just talk about stuff that you guys want me to talk about. So feel free to, in the comments here or me on Twitter, Tumblr, stuff like that, ask me questions and stuff like that that you want me to talk about in the video coming up. So whether those be Avatar questions, Sword Art Online questions, anime questions, you know, the sort of stuff from watching my YouTube videos that I like and stuff like that. So ask questions and I'll be sure to answer them in that video whenever I get to do it, whenever I get enough questions to warrant doing that video. But yeah, Swordsman's Memorial. And you know, it's one of those weird episodes in that you kind of go in knowing that there's still a good few episodes left in this arc. You know, there's still 3 episodes left in the season. Yet the goal that has been set up to us is accomplished. This is the episode where they beat the boss. They have that moment where that is accomplished, but because of what's been subtly set up in the previous episodes, and is even more heavily set up here, this thing about the sleeping knights, what exactly is splitting this group apart in a couple of weeks? What is making them all keep their distance from Asuna and not kind of join in and start to really become friends and stuff like that? That's the mystery that begins to become more prevalent as the arc progresses, and I think this episode does a really good job at kind of subtly setting that up and then suddenly making that the overall thing that you really want to know about now that the goal of getting their names on the Swordsman's Memorial is. So getting into specifics on the episode, we obviously start off with where last episode ended off, and that is the kind of fight to get into the boss room. The other guild is here, Kirito arrives, and he's going to take on the reinforcements, and you get some really awesome moments here for Kirito. It's his kind of one big fighting moment in the kind of arc, and it's really cool. You see him basically cut through magic attacks, then take out and use Excalibur for the first time. You don't really get to see him use the sword as such, but you know, you can tell that while the group is in there fighting the bosses, he's out there dual wielding. Klein arrives as well, so the two of them are taking on 25 or something like that players by themselves and holding them off, which is a really impressive feat. And it's just a really nice moment because they're not doing this to get anything from the Sleeping Knights or stuff like that, to suddenly join the Sleeping Knights group or anything like that to finish with the boss. They are purely helping them to accomplish their goal. That you can see that Asuna kind of almost goes to help Kirito kind of defend off these guys, but then the look that he gives her is kind of him saying to her, "I'm here to help you. I know how important this is to you. You need to go help your kind of new group and help them defeat the boss." I thought that was just a really nice moment, and she was completely aware of what Kirito was going for here, and you get the moment when she just says, you know, "I love you, Kirito," and heads inside. Not before Asuna gets her big moment where, you know, they're really struggling against the other half of the raid party who have all these healers and stuff like that. The Sleeping Knights are better fighters just naturally, but they have so many healers, they're struggling, and then Asuna just uses her really powerful move and just running start, zoom, takes out the kind of leader of the raid party, and then takes out the healers, and they're in. Just a very nice kind of fight before the overall big fight. And then in terms of the actual boss battle, you know, for, I suppose, what is set up to be the big moment, it's not the most impressive boss battle. It's good, but not great. You know, there's some clever stuff like how they eventually figure out the kind of boss's critical weak spot, and how the final move is this kind of clever move of using one of the guys out front as a kind of springboard so Yuki can jump up and do her 11 hit combo on the boss's critical spot. But it's not the best fight, but it is still pretty good, to get to see another boss fight. It's very nice. And yeah, the other notable thing here is just a really subtle moment. Asuna, it notes it, but you don't get too much more focus other than that. Just her noting that Yuki, referring to her in the heat of battle as sis, this thing that comes out of nowhere, but is a really big moment that they draw attention to, and then they come back to it later on. But I'll get to that when I get to it. But yeah, they defeat the boss, and yeah, they then decide that they're going to celebrate. And there's a moment where they're deciding where to celebrate. They want to just rent out a restaurant, but then Asuna says, no, why don't we go to my home? Referencing obviously the start of this arc, Kirito and Asuna, getting their house on their cabin, and wanting to go there. And Yuki is starting to go, no, we can't do it. CNA, I think, is doing the same thing. But then they just stop and just accept it, and it's this weird moment of odd tension for what should be this really celebratory moment. That what's the big deal with them going to her house to celebrate? It's going to save them money so they can spend more money on the party. And you're gradually beginning to set up that they're trying to keep their distance from Asuna, that they're happy around her and they like her, but they don't want to get so close because something is going to happen, something about whatever's going to break the group apart so they can't actually play the game together is going to affect them to the point of their relationships with other people. And there's no obvious you can figure out the exact details of what is actually happening here, which is interesting. When I first watched this, it was the one little spoiler I knew about SAO II, apart from okay, the first one's about guns, there's a little arc in the middle that's just a mission, and then the last one involves terminally ill people using the game as a way to have fun and stuff like that. So I had that ultimately what is a really big reveal spoiled for me. But I can just imagine anyone who went in blind to this, when they actually get that reveal of what actually is the case, it's a really good setup towards that. And so that's definitely a fascinating thing to rewatch the series and just see the moments where they hint towards it, but they never give you any details to suggest. No one's mentioning that, I need to leave suddenly to go to the hospital or something like that. You get the hints that okay, they're basically in the game 24/7. They don't want to get close to Asuna, but they want her to help them accomplish this thing in the game. And they don't want to go to her house and stuff like that. But they eventually decide they will go there. And you can see the friendship start to properly develop. Asuna really wants to get to know these guys and stuff like that, and actually requests to join the Sleeping Knights. And this changes the mood of the room. Not just her asking them to have the party in her house, this changes things. Her asking to join this group. And it's not Asuna was at fault here for asking a question. She is very polite afterwards and says, no, I know I shouldn't have been so pushy, but she just wants to get to know these interesting people much better. She doesn't know what's up with them, and they're still hesitant around her and don't want to say anything, and they're just why would you want to join us when we're not going to be together for that much longer, and stuff like this. You can tell they're all getting emotional and awkward around the situation, and Asuna quickly diffuses the situation, seeing the awkwardness, but doesn't pry into what exactly is going on. And then they go to the Monument of Swordsman and they take the picture, and it's a really big moment because the group has accomplished their goal. All their names are up there. They're going to be remembered. That picture and stuff like that. It's a big moment. But then Yuki refers to Asuna as sis again. And Asuna draws attention to this and is just hey, what's that about? You called it to me in the boss room. I don't mind, but what's it about? And Yuki just bursts into tears and logs out of the game suddenly, like, and is really upset. So it's a really interesting setup of what is this ultimately really emotional thing in the series, and I just really appreciate how they actually went about doing it in the show. But yeah, like, as I said, like, nothing obviously like hinting that they're ill, like, at all, really. You can sort of get like hints that, okay, it's something like that's going to break the group apart. Like, nothing else really makes sense, but it's here. It's, you can maybe think, oh, there's something about how they react around other people and not wanting to have new friends or something like that. But it's just really well done how it's actually approached. And yeah, next episode obviously is the episode where we get the reveal, and I'll talk about this reveal more in that episode. But as far as this episode goes, really cool episode in terms of getting to see a bunch of fights, the fight to get into the boss room, the boss battle itself, and then the aftermath of that, just showing Asuna wanting to become friends with Yuki and the rest of the Sleeping Knight, and them wanting to do the same, but knowing that because of whatever's happening to their guild, that it can't happen, and just all these kind of moments of awkwardness setting that up. And then I do like that you get the moments throughout the episode of just Asuna kind of revealing to them that, you know, they don't need to pay her for this. She's learned something that's more important than any money in game or any item, and that's, you know, fight to get your point across that is going to apply to her in the real world as well. So really successful episode overall. So I was very pleased with this one. So that's the end of the review. Thanks for watching the video, and bye.